This is from What the Gut. This podcast is truly the highlight of my week. You three are extremely knowledgeable, plus the intro song is too dang good. There's nothing greater than Fridays with Good Nature.
Aww.
Oh. This one is from EDT003. I need Ari to wear a chef's hat during the podcast. Other than that, 5 stars.
I don't know if you need that. But
Chef, did you ever wear a chef's hat?
yeah.
Like in any of your jobs?
Yeah, well, culinary school. You wear every day one of the paper ones. But then when you get out and in the real world, it's kind of just like a baseball hat or something.
Yeah.
It's another Friday. This week I did it my way. I made lots of juice and now I feel a boost. Baby say, oh, it's the way I make my juice. Pressing fruits and roots. This week I did it my way. Baby say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Good Nature.
What's up, my juicy juice lovers? Welcome to Good Nature Radio. This is your host, Charlie Wetloff, joined by the 2 top juice business consultants in the world, Chef Ari Sexton and Olivia Esquivel. They're also our superstar instructors. Good Nature School of Juice. Use code GNRadio for $100 off any School of Juice course. You can do that at learn.goodnature.com. Good Nature Radio is a weekly Friday podcast where the juicing industry comes to get help in starting and growing a juice business. To request consulting or leave us a message, go over to goodnature.com/radio. Join in on the discussion of the Good Nature Juicing Facebook group. Just go on Facebook and search for Good Nature Juicing. The private group up to almost 5,000 members. What? How is that even possible?
Gosh.
You know, there are that many people that know who Good Nature is. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Shop in bulk on the Goodnature Marketplace at goodnature.com. We've recently onboarded Scott's Holistic Sea Moss, which is the highest quality sea moss we've been able to find. What's cool is, like, if you go on the product pages there and you see the pictures of the scuba divers underwater, or the free divers, like, picking the sea moss, they actually went out and shot that for us specifically for the marketplace.
Oh, how awesome.
So that is not a stock photo. They are actually out there diving and picking the sea moss for y'all. Really high quality stuff. You can make a very profitable sea moss gel out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a recipe on the marketplace or on our website for that as well. goodnature.com/recipes. Where Chef Ari himself has created over 100 recipes we just have for free on the website now. And let me just make that clear. Lots of people will charge you for stock recipes that they sell to the same people over and over and over. We see it in the industry. Multiple quote-unquote consultants out there selling the same recipes to multiple people. If you want great recipes that aren't unique to you, we have them for free on our website. Just go to the website. Created those. You can use those, no problem. But if you do want truly custom to your business, then that's Chef Ari's specialty. You can request consulting, goodnature.com/radio. He never gives the same recipe twice to anyone. I think that's a common sort of fear people have of paying all this money for that we're just going to sell you the same recipes we sold somebody else.
And
not the case.
It's your likes too. So we set up a call. We talk about your style that you're trying to achieve. Start from scratch and then build a menu around what you like and dislike off what we know that works.
Yeah, and also it goes way beyond juice. Ari does smoothies, acai bowls, sea moss gel, salads, wraps, avocado toast, whatever you want. Ari's done it all. Before he's working for Good Nature, he's developing all kinds of food and beverage recipes for other companies and chefs and everything. So he's done it all. Everything from acai to what's the Z? What do we say in your book? Zeolite.
I think one person put zeolite in their juice.
What is that?
It's
I don't even know.
mineral. that people
Oh.
have.
But,
I think, yeah, not very common.
anyway, anything from A to Z, I can help you out with. Olivia, you've been getting a ton of branding and graphic design work lately, which is awesome to see.
Oh my gosh, it's been so fun. Yeah. And his ranged the spectrum from wrapping people's juice trucks, which has been really fun. There's a highlight of that on the Goodnature Facebook page from Deep Roots out in Louisiana. That was a lot of fun, to just doing labels or collateral. It's crazy how we can find something fresh every single time, even though we're all in the same industry. Everybody wants green. It seems like everybody wants some sort of botanical or, veggie look. And so it's a lot of fun just recreating something for each person.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've seen some of the work. It's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Doing some great work there. All right, so today the topic of conversation is machine maintenance. So this was requested on the Facebook group about a topic for the podcast. And, we like to deliver to our audience what they want to hear and what they want to watch. Today we're going to be talking about maintenance. We're going to talk about a couple different categories. There's the X1 machine, which is like, there's a lot more maintenance involved on a big machine like the X1. And then there's X1 Mini and M1, which we're going to group together because those are very similar machines. It's basically the same technology in both machines. One is bigger than the other. So, and then we'll go over maintenance specifics, and then we'll talk about training staff on maintenance as well. So we can start with the X1 because there's more involved there. I think, first of all, let's talk about keeping a sharp blade on the grinder, on the EZ260 grinder.
Mm-hmm.
Ari, why do you think it's important to make sure you have a fresh blade on there?
It's number one is really the quality of juice, the end product. It's kind of, so when you have juices, you make it, the quality is definitely reflected with a lot of different factors. But a sharp blade, you'll notice it right away. And what I refer to as kind of finding out if there's an issue with the quality of juice, look at your green juice blends, because those kind of react a lot quicker. Like if you have separation on a carrot or beet blend, it might not happen or be as noticeable. But look at your green juices. So if they're dull and you're running that blade, you'll see the green will start to oxidize, maybe not as vibrant for as long, and it could even do like separation just because you're bruising the produce after the blade gets dull. So that's kind of one of the number one causes for separation.
And I would say that it's not obvious. Like if you have an X1, if you've had it for a while, the blade slowly gets dull. So it's not like a noticeable change.
Mm-hmm.
But then once you put a sharp blade on there, it's like, whoa, what I've been missing my whole life. It's so much easier. Stuff just passes through like a saw, like, zzz, just goes right through.
Yeah.
But I'll often walk into juice bars, go in their kitchen to check it out. And they're like really pushing really hard to get stuff through the blade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because the blade is dull and they've never changed it.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference. When you push that hard, you bruise the fruit, which like Ari says will cause more separation. It'll cause stuff to change color. So it's really important to keep a sharp blade on there. As a maintenance guide says, I think what does it say? It changes every 1 to 3 months depending on use, I believe. So by the way, we do have maintenance guides for our machines. Easiest way to find it is just Google maintenance guide Goodnature X1, and the first link that comes up, you'll find it. For new purchases, we do actually ship it with. The X1 comes with a maintenance guide that you can actually hang on the wall. That's a waterproof printed like 17 by 11 thing. We also sell them on our website if you want one to hang in your kitchen on the wall. And it just tells you how often you should be replacing everything. And so that's important. The X1 especially is like a real machine. It's kind of like maintaining like the engine of a car or something. Like there's things you got to do to keep it running. All right.
Yeah.
So there's the blade. Keep that sharp. Let's talk about making sure everything's tight. You should be tightening the bolts, the nuts and bolts on that thing regularly. We send it with a toolkit. Every X1 comes with a toolkit. So you have everything you need to do this. Tighten the bolts on the cylinders. That's a big problem we see. People call up and they're like, when I work the press, it's like uneven. It's not pressing evenly. It's because you've let those.
This is happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is happening to me right now in my juice bar.
Yeah, so that's
yeah. Okay, so it's the bolts. I have.
So
to
that's from
tighten.
not keeping the cylinder, the nuts on the cylinder tight, and eventually over time it becomes uneven, and then that can actually cause irreversible damage after a while. So, so you want to make sure those stay tight. Our machine comes with like a big like black wrench. That's what that's for. And then other stuff like people will call and say like the caster wheel on the bottom has like turned sideways. That's just because it's not tight. You just take a wrench in there and tighten it up. Like that's super basic stuff. Like you can, every kitchen has somebody that knows how to use a wrench. So that's not even like, you don't need a specialist to come do that. That's just, so somebody in your kitchen should be doing that, checking weekly on just making sure everything's tightened up.
There's even a YouTube video, right? With walking through the maintenance on the X1. Yeah,
Trevor, our superstar processing guy, has like a decade of experience working in actual factories. He's got a nice maintenance video on our YouTube channel about doing the maintenance on the X1. And the number one issue we have with people calling about issue with the X1 is because of lack of maintenance. 100%. People that maintain their X1 have barely any problems for years. People that don't maintain it have problems at least, a couple times a year they call up and have a problem. So I would say that maintenance is a big one. With the X1, we see a lot of people buy used X1s and then they call us and we're like, oh man, this person's in for a troublesome month of headaches trying to get this thing working because this previous user is not maintaining it at all. So if you are buying a used X1, I recommend you buy it direct from Goodnature for that reason. So keeping stuff tight, and then monthly, we recommend checking the hydraulic oil. So if there's a hydraulic leak, this can lead to the hydraulic oil slowly leaking out, and then there ends up being not enough hydraulic oil that can cause damage to the system. So you just want to make sure there's enough oil in there. You can the details are on the specific details are on the maintenance guide, but you can just like dip something in that black reservoir just to see how high the oil level is. And then also you want to make sure that doesn't get contaminated, like there's not water in the hydraulic lines and stuff. I believe that's all outlined in the video. So that's kind of like the more hardcore maintenance. And then the important one is press bags. So obviously you want to be keeping the press bags clean. Ari, do you want to quickly outline your recommended process for cleaning the bags?
Yeah. So the X1 has a customizable pieces where you select the blade and the speed, depending on the produce. But the bag is really depending on how fibrous the produce is. That's kind of what I base it on. So for most green juices, if it doesn't have anything too fibrous, I kind of use a medium weave, fine weave for everything else. And then if I was doing like a plant-based milk, nut milk, I'd use a wide weave to get a richer flavor. But again, those are all personal preferences. When I clean the bags, it's important to kind of get them in water within like 5-10 minutes after you're done using it, because after that, it becomes a lot more difficult to clean. You want to treat it like equipment, wash, rinse, sanitize. I like the 3-compartment sink when it has like those sprayers. It has a little hook that kind of holds the sprayer in place. I use and hook the eyelet from the bag on there as like a second set of hands. And I'll open it up. I'll spray all the produce down that didn't get dumped initially. reverse it, spray it again, and then I'll go through the process of wash, rinse, and sanitizing. Really important, just get it wet as soon as possible. I like to soak them also like once a week or when needed to keep them nice, vibrant white in kind of a bleach solution or some kind of sanitizer. And if you're using bleach and you're worried about carryover for that, bleach dissipates really quickly. It's a approved product for a lot of certified organic operations. Like they'll use a bleach on certain products, but you can also get test strips where it'll test low level bleach. You put a drop of distilled water, press it on the bag after you're done washing it, after it's done soaking, and it will turn colors if it has over 4 parts per million. So it's really safe process as well.
Yeah. So basically, just rinse it well enough and you're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say I highly recommend doing that. Keeps the bags nice and clean and white and safe, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just go to some juice bars that clearly aren't cleaning the bags very well. It's kind of scary because they're serving raw juice made on these old filthy bags.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, make sure you're cleaning the bags. And then if bags are breaking, you're likely pressing too quickly. I will say one pain point with the X1 is that because it is so customizable, a lot of people don't understand that they're running the press too fast, right? Like the X1 Mini and M1, they have 1 press speed. X1 Mini has 2. But the X1, like you can open the hydraulic valve, turn it all the way, and it'll press quickly. Close it all the way, it'll press really slow.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people just don't understand that it's better to press slowly, even though we do recommend that in all of our literature. So they'll just press quickly and then they complain that they're breaking bags or bags are overflowing and stuff's coming out the top or they're getting more separation on the juice. It's because they're pressing quickly. Like the default should be to press slow every time.
Yeah. That speed, I usually set it and I just leave it.
Slow, right? Yeah.
At a gradual speed, because you don't really adjust it to go quicker or slower. And the speed of the press, I gauge that on the flow of juice, not on how quickly it's closing. So the juice should be flowing from the bottom of the bag. It shouldn't be flowing from the sides of the bag. And that's like number 2 culprit for affecting the quality of juice, like you mentioned. So you want to go gradual. I always kind of, when I train people, I always mention the streams of juice should look like if you're making espresso, nice little slow streams. Yeah. If it's going too quick, just put it in neutral. The juice will catch up, but definitely take your time.
Yeah. The slower, the better. It also does affect the quality of juice. Mm-hmm. You'll get less separation if you press slowly. We're not sure exactly why.
Sorry, just a question. Something that I see in my back of the house sometimes is I'll see that my juicers lift the bag and then press again, lift the bag and then press again. Is that a no-no, or is that a good thing to do? Or is that because my press is pressing unevenly and I need to tighten the bolts?
Yeah. Tighten everything.
Okay.
Yeah. It could be from overloading the bag and pressing too quickly over time. Mm-hmm. It kind of like begins to droop down really far. And then that's when usually people lift up the bag a little bit and do the second press. But yeah, it's most likely just tighten everything, adjust it to make sure you're going slow and get a new bag in there.
So in theory, you shouldn't have to do that, right? You shouldn't have to lift the bag and press again.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. I mean, those bags will stretch over time. They're just cloth. So it's like, I think that's one of the biggest problems is people just don't buy new blades and new bags.
Yeah.
And they really should be. We do have discounts. Like if you buy 5 bags at a time, you get a pretty big discount on our website. That's what I would recommend. Yeah. So cleaning press, breaking bags. Yeah. People call up and complain that our bags are low quality because they keep breaking. It's always because they're pressing too quickly. Oh, yeah. Okay, what else? Deep cleaning of the machine, Ari.
Yeah, that's extremely important. I think deep cleaning the entire kitchen is extremely important. So I like to, if I'm running an operation that's running continually, like every day, I like to kind of set a calendar of what I'm focused on in terms of deep cleaning. You know, if I was in a kitchen, I would have different sections like shelves, walk in, reach in, and then be able to hit those in an order. I kind of do the same thing for the juicer, you know, and match it up. Take the maintenance guide, it says daily, weekly, monthly, add it into like your calendar you use, you know, just for like reminders. But also with the deep clean, all the white parts, I make sure to soak those once a week, add that to a calendar, just so you have those reminders. There's a lot of times where you can get buildup on a lot of parts that touch the produce. A lot of that's from starch a lot of times, where it just kind of sticks to there and starts staining or looks kind of weathered look. You could do a deep clean on that, maybe use some kind of descaler or lime be gone or something that would actually break that up a little bit. There's organic products you can use too that'll work, but also use something a little more abrasive too. If it's stainless steel, you know, or any kind of steel, you could use something a little more abrasive to kind of break that up. And after it's soaking, just rub it a little bit, and that should start cleaning that up.
Yeah. There's also, I'm just looking at the maintenance guide here. There's also should be checking, there's a little rubber seal behind the blade. So if you look behind the blade on the X1, if you take the blade off, there's a metal knob that the blade sits on, and then behind that there's a little rubber seal. You should make sure that, let me just read this here. Check the black rubber shaft seal located in the grinder beneath the backing plate. Lubricate with food grade grease if overly dry needed. The seal is sitting tight against the hopper support plate. Use a flat object like a screwdriver to move the seal forward slightly to create space. So keep the seal from rubbing and creating friction when using the grinder. The seal becomes cracked or breaks over time, replace the seal. So what that seal does behind the blade is it keeps the juice from escaping through behind the blade and running down the machine. And that seal can wear out over time, especially if it's not lubricated. So we do recommend this food grade grease, which we have a link for. If you look at the maintenance guide on the website, there's a link there. And so that's an important part, just to make sure that, like, that's a common issue that people have. So just make sure that's working properly. And you don't want that seal rubbing right up against the back plate, because since it's spinning, it will wear out faster.
Yep. Or else it'll make a loud noise. Happened to me before.
Even smoke occasionally.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, in general, the X1, you know, it's a hydraulic machine. Got to be maintaining it. And people that are really familiar with the X1 and be using it for a long time love it, because yes, it does need maintenance. Yes, stuff breaks, but you just replace the part and then it keeps running. You know, it's like a real machine, and the things will run forever. We've had people that call in and need parts, and they've had the machine for 25 years. So it's just a real beast of a machine. But it is a real machine. I think some people order it not realizing, like, okay, this is like a real machine. It's not like a little, like, you know, masticating juicer or something. Like a real piece of equipment. All right, so that's the overview of the X1. Again, we'll place the links for the maintenance guides and videos in the description. Moving on to X1 Mini and M1. Okay, so the X1 is hydraulic. It means it runs on hydraulic components, which use hydraulic oil to create the pressure to close the press. The X1 Mini and M1 are pneumatic, meaning they run on an air compressor. So they don't need as much maintenance as the X1, unless there's an issue. So basically the only regular maintenance you have to worry about is you should be lubricating the press rod, so that rod that pushes the press out. Just put a little food grade grease on there, you know, daily or weekly, so that seal doesn't wear out, because that seal stops juice from coming back into the machine. If your seal is worn out, we can just send you a new seal. It's not a big deal. But you do want to be doing that. Cleaning the hopper. So one issue I see is the inside of the hopper will get some sort of lime build up on it after a while. And the issue that starts to cause is that the pusher becomes harder to push down and almost starts creating like this suction. The machine becomes harder to use for your staff. So I just say make sure you're keeping that clean. And sort of like descaling that to keep that clean. Ari, do you have recommended cleaning procedures for that?
Yeah. So essentially the same as the X1. You don't want to. I recommend definitely don't just send it through a high temp dishwasher, but wash, rinse, sanitize everything by hand. Like I mentioned before, sometimes it might need something a little more abrasive on the stainless steel parts. To kind of break up that lime or that buildup. But also, I don't know, it kind of works well is that material, the magic eraser, the melt, what is that material called? Melamine foam?
Mm-hmm.
And that actually works pretty well at kind of breaking up on on like the black parts of it. That will have like a buildup over time. You kind of soak that for like once a week, take that out and kind of scrub it with that and then wash, rinse, sanitize it. And I find that actually works pretty good to remove a lot of that buildup.
Cool. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and then the blade, so the blade on the X1 Mini and M1, the herbivore grinder, it's not actually that important that it's sharp as on the X1. It's a different type of grinding process. The blade on the X1 is like a cheese grater, basically, where it spins and sort of cuts it that way. And the X1 Mini and M1, it's a little bit different. The actual little blade piece that's spinning, that breaks pieces off of the fruit and then it's actually pushed through the teeth and the grind ring on the outside. And that actually doesn't have to be very sharp. So I know people ask about that a lot. You should probably replace it once a year or something, but it's not as important to keep sharp as the X1 blade is.
Mm-hmm.
And the bags for the X1 Mini and M1, if you're using the single-use bags, those you obviously just compost or throw away. But the reusable bags are the same cloth as the X1 bags, so the same cleaning and maintenance is involved there.
Mm-hmm.
And you shouldn't be breaking bags because the M1 and X1 Mini, the press is fully contained on all four sides, so you don't get that outward pressure on the sides that the bags could break, so shouldn't have any issues breaking bags. Anything else on the X1 Mini or M1?
Do you remember, Ari, I asked you, I had a Goodnature client that they had broken the shield on the X1 Mini, and I asked you about it, and you explained to me it was because they were, I don't have an X1 Mini, so I can't visualize it, but that they were pressing too hard. Do you want to maybe talk about that? Because, do you remember, Charlie?
Yeah.
I remember.
Okay, so
what piece was that?
I think we call it the press guard. So
Yes.
it's the clear piece that covers the press and attaches to the grinder.
Right.
So some people will break those. It's not from pressing too hard, it's from lowering the grinder too hard, basically.
Okay.
So if you let the grinder drop like free fall onto the press, then that can break the press guard. Those press guards are made of like clear, I don't know what material it is, Triton or something, or plexiglass, I'm not sure. But basically, those are pretty thick. They're not that easy to break, but if you are being a little rough with them, then they can break for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, sorry, go ahead.
I think it's really important to look at all your parts you have and have backups. You
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
Essentially. And stuff like the blade on X1 or, the blade on a Mini or something like that, just switch them out and see if there's that big of a difference. I think that's really important to kind of keep track of.
Yeah,
as well.
one part you should definitely have is an extra, we call it the agitator knob, which is what holds the blade onto the machine.
Yeah.
If you lose that, it's really annoying because you can't use the grinder.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating to people. but it's like this sort of bolt with a triangle on the end that it's custom made, like we welded it in our factory. So you can't just buy one at the grocery store. So it's really, really annoying to lose that. So I would definitely, because it gets lost kind of often because people like drop it down a drain or
This
like.
happened to me. Yeah, this happened. I walked into the back of the house and the chef was like going nuts. And I was like, what happened? He's like, I can't press anything. I lost the knob.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. But he's like, Olivia, the triangle knob, it fell off. It's somewhere here. I mean, it was like had fallen behind some produce, box. And we were like on our hands and knees. And he's like, I cannot live without this knob. And I was like, dude, we need to have a backup knob.
As a manufacturer, I wish that we have come up with something where you don't need that knob.
Yeah.
Because it is just the most frustrating thing to lose.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's like it pains me when I see those orders come through on the website. I'm like, oof, somebody's not juicing today. You know what I mean? It's like, you see that knob come through with like the overnight shipping. I'm like, oh man, that poor person. Like I actually feel bad about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I'd definitely say have an extra one of those on hand, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then I guess I'd like to talk about training staff. Like, okay, so as the owner of the company, you might know how to maintain the machine, but how do you make sure your staff's keeping it? And I have a feeling one of you is going to recommend a logbook. We'll see.
It ain't going to be me, Charlie.
I'm in the calendar invites now. I'm in the calendar reminders, so.
Oh, really?
Oh, fancy.
No, but when I train the staff, or train anyone in general, I do it in 3 parts. I do it first and kind of walk them through it, explain a lot of the key points. Then I'll have that person do it while I'm watching and make adjustments if needed and kind of explain if he's doing something correct or incorrect. And then I have that person train the next person while I'm there as well. And I think that's kind of the best process in training someone with a machine. That's in terms of like operating it. And then after, I like to have calendar reminders for, cleaning, sanitizing, like the deep cleaning of the machine, breaking it down. But definitely go through that process, the cleaning process with them and have them do it and then train someone how to do it while you're there.
Chef, do you find that people are not breaking down their machine every day? Their X1?
Well, they'll do it different ways. You know?
Okay.
Essentially, like sometimes they'll kind of skip the step of pressing slowly and they'll ignore that step, or and it's slight variances like over time add up to kind of like bigger issues. So I think it's always good to have like refreshers with employees, and no one's perfect. So,
well, no, I mean in terms of like at the end of the day when production is done, do you find that people are not breaking down the machine, the X1, like taking off the chute?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
We
do that every day.
But I think it's really important the way you clean the machine at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because you got deep clean it once every 4 hours. I like splitting up the green juices and then do a deep clean, then the rest of the juices.
That's what we do.
But also, I kind of teach a process on when I'm cleaning the machine. Whereas the last juice of the day, I take off all the top parts after I'm done grinding. The hopper, the blade, the little knobs.
Yeah.
And as that's pressing, once it's completely closed, I'll keep it completely pressed and keep running while I wash those top portions. Wash, rinse, sanitize.
Gotcha.
Then after that's done, I empty that machine. Then I'll put the juice, let it cool, wheel the whole machine over, finish cleaning everything. And then from that 3-compartment sink, I like to build the machine back up as much as I can, so that all the parts are there. It's ready to go for the next day.
Mm.
And then you let the person come in the next day and they reassemble it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important because if the person that's making juice comes in the next day and starts to use the machine that's already assembled, and then it, like, oh, so-and-so from last night forgot to put the part on, that's why it didn't work or something. You need to make that person that's juicing that day responsible for making sure the machine's assembled the right way. I think that's a good sort of.
It's good to get in a habit of putting everything in the same place too.
Yeah. All right. I think we covered everything. Is there anything else that comes to mind, guys, on maintenance? No?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I guess just in general, keep it clean. Keep all the nuts and bolts tight. Keep the blades sharp. Keep the bags clean and white. You should be good to go. That's it. You should make up a rhyme about how to maintain your machines. Think about that. You can make a new song.
Do a verse.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Wait, you could call it the clean version. It could be like the clean version of the song.
That's really funny.
So
All
good.
right. Everybody, have a great Friday.
See you guys.
Talk soon. Bye.
It's another Friday. This week I did it my way. I made lots of juice, and now I feel a boost. Baby say, oh, it's the way I make my juice. Pressing fruits and roots. This week I did it my way. Baby say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Goodnature.